And welcome to Abstract Essay, where the essay shape thought find depth and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have much special guest. She's an AI pioneer, CEO, and professor, no other than Dr. Maya Ackerman.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, Dr. Maya. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
I've had the cosmic fortune to enter generative AI about a decade ago as a researcher in computational creativity before generative AI rose to popularity. Opened one of the earliest Gen AI startups in late 2017 called Wave AI, focusing on musical AI. And this actually, just about a month ago, I released my book, Creative Machines, AI, Art and Us, about how I see this space given my early experiences in it.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Dr. Maya. Thank you. So today let's talk about AI and creativity, how AI can elevate our creativity to a new heights. Let's reframe the narrative from replacement to partnership. How does AI best function as a creative co pilot or an unlimited intern for human artist, writer, or designer?
So, what's really important here comes from two directions. On the one hand, it's the design intent of the use of the people making the technology, and on the other hand, it's how the user manages to use the tech. So let me tell you a quick story. This was one of my earliest experiences that impacted how I think about this space. It was in 2018 when I tried a system called Improviser by my late colleague Robert Keller. And essentially, I would play a little bit of music and it would improvise with me. It would respond with a melody that matched what I did. And I went back and forth with it for about 2 hours in this conference. And I actually became permanently able to improvise music on the piano after using this machine. And that sort of laid the foundation for what I later called humble creative machines, the idea that a system elevates your creative capabilities permanently, even if you never use that system again.
Interesting, Dr. Maya. And many creatives experience a blank page problem. How can AI specifically help overcome this initial creative inertia and generate those crucial first sparks of an idea?
So I've seen many ways that that can be done. Our visual artists sometimes rely on tools like Midjourney, some of these text to image models that are a little bit more creative and less constrained. And they play around with ideas and just get inspired. They're not trying to create a final product with these text to image models, but really to just open up their minds to possibilities. My own system, Lyric Studio, you can use it at any phase in the creation of your lyrics, but also in the beginning. If you just type in some topics, it gives you lots of ideas that are not designed to be correct or the best answer, but really just to open up these doors, these ways of thinking that maybe wouldn't have otherwise come to you so that you can get going.
Dr. Maya, beyond just generating options, how can AI help us break out of our own creative ruts and style styles, or what do you call this, style echo chambers to discover connections we will never have made on our own?
That's a great question. Really, depending on what AI and what creative tasks it can assist, it can theoretically assist with anything at any step. So again, going back to my tools, I don't want to talk too much about them, but Lyric Studio and Melody Studio, If
Mm-hmm.
you're stuck at any point in the songwriting process, it can help you see options on where to go next. But that's not the only thing that it can help with. Let's say you have a draft of a song or an essay or a story that you're writing. One of the things that AI is really powerful at, which is very different, is actually giving feedback, giving critical feedback. Now, you have to be careful when you ask for critical feedback, but when you have stuff pretty well drafted, you can give it to an LLM and it can actually give you sometimes really insightful ideas on where you need to improve your work. So that's a very different use case to help you along this creative journey.
Well, that be interesting, Dr. Maya. And transforming the creative process, can you walk us through a concrete example of how AI can accelerate the groundwork of a creative process, like storyboarding, composing a music bed, or generating base code, freeing the human to focus on high level vision and emotion?
I really appreciate that you're asking that question. And sometimes that's how we use AI, and sometimes we don't. We can sort of invite it into the boring parts that we don't want to do, or we can
Mm-hmm.
invite it into the fun part of the creative process. So we have both options. When it comes to kind of filling in the grunt work, the way that I think about it is, can AI do something I don't want to do? So AI is fantastic at editing. Like editing, like when it comes to writing, getting from that 90% to 100 with just really, really thorough editing, it is fantastic for a story, for a poem. Um, I've written, I've written my book myself, but I edited it so heavily with ChatGPT because it's so phenomenal at that. But you have to be careful. You have to then go back and look at the work very, very carefully to make sure it did not interject or modify ideas to the point where you no longer agree with some of them. So you always have to use your better judgment. When it comes to music, there are so many incredible AI capabilities today. For example, if a person doesn't know how to sing, then there are amazing AI voices that can be used to sing. There are incredible tools like Lander for for the final step, for the mastering steps of creating music. So you can kind of plug in different types of AI if there are certain creative tasks that maybe you're less interested in or have less experience in.
Dr. Maya, how is AI acting as a real time collaborator that can provide instant feedback on everything from a rhythm of a poem to a color palette of a design?
I think real time is really the most interesting use case. It's this it's this back and forth with the AI. I think that it's important that you stay in the driver's seat. No matter what you're doing, you need to retain control. But the AI can be just the most amazing sparring partner. So, for example, I remember finishing up the last chapter of my book. I wanted the conclusions to be as good as possible. So, I literally took every single line in the conclusion and I experimented with ChatGPT with hundreds of ways of rephrasing every single sentence to make it as I wanted to make it as good as possible. So I think what's really interesting about this use case, 4 hours in, I realized that it was not saving me time at all. It was
Mm,
taking me so much longer. But in my case, that wasn't a bad thing because I wasn't trying to save time. I was really trying to write as well as possible, right? So I think that's another important mindset that we're so used to thinking of automation and AI as saving time, but generative AI can be used instead to create something. If you come with this collaborative attitude, as you're saying, it can be used to improve quality instead of saving time at the expense of time.
mm, yes. Totally agree with you, Dr. Maya. So let's talk about skills and democratization. How is AI enabling people with powerful ideas but limited technical skills, like in driving, music, or composition, to bring their visions to life?
That is one of the most powerful promises of this technology. And it gets a little bit complicated because sometimes democratizing means replacing you. So we have to be really careful with that. We have to make sure that you use technology and you use the technology in a way that actually gives you more space for self-expression. One of the most powerful ways we see that is actually with vibe coding, with people now able to express their creativity through developing apps and through making websites, which is, which can really be for certain products a serious creative act, and they don't have the technical skills for developing, for coding, but now they can do that. Another fascinating example is Suno, which is sort of a really successful music company in recent years, which some people feel is very replacive, but other people have found a way to sort of, they feel that they're really expressing themselves very meaningfully when they use Suno to write music. Um, so it's this really interesting interplay across different domains. Same thing with text to image models. In a one hand, they democratize making art, but on the other hand, they can feel very replacive. So the way that we use them and the way that we ask developers to modify them can really make the difference between democratization and human expression and replacement.
Indeed, the human elements and the soul of art, Miss or Dr. Maya. This is a big one. If AI generates the initial concept and the human refines or refines it, who is the artist? Where does the soul of the work reside in this new collaborative process?
Thank you for asking such a deep and fantastic question. When it comes to collaborating with AI, it's very, very, very difficult to tease apart who did what. In some
Mm-hmm.
extreme cases, it's easy. You wrote the essay and you did a quick edit with ChatGPT. Then you know what's what. Um, in some cases, it's obvious, but in most cases, it's really, really not. Especially if you engaged in a lot of back and forth, especially if your process has many different steps, and maybe the process is a little bit unpredictable because the AI might modify how you do your work as well. And so I think we sort of need to accept that collaboration with AI is a little bit similar to collaboration with a person. And when you're collaborating with another person, it's known, there was research showing that you will never know, it's very hard for us to accurately gauge how much who did.
Mm.
People often, if you add up, like if you and I do a project and we're each asked to say how much we did, what percent we did, it might add up to over 100. And so this is just, I think we need to sort of accept that humans are creating with AI and it's collaborative, and we're not going to be able to separate it into neat buckets of exactly who is responsible. It's both.
It's both for sure. And Dr. Maya, how does the role of human creator shift from being the sole originator to becoming a curator, editor, and director of AI generated ideas?
In some cases, that's the case. In some cases, people sort of coordinate around AI ideas. But I think, in my experience, so far, with the technology the way it is today, it tends to
Mm-hmm.
work better when the idea, when the soul of the work, when the motivation comes from the person. And they use the AI more to find form for their idea, more to chisel it and refine it, rather than us being the supporter for whatever the AI is trying to say. That's my view on this topic.
Interesting, Dr. Maya. Can the use of AI actually help us better understand and define the unique, irreplaceable qualities of human creativity? And what are those qualities?
It's a very, very deep question. And I think with any wave of technology, we
Mm-hmm.
get to understand more and more about ourselves and what makes what parts of us are irreplaceable. I think Gen AI is a very big challenge to that. Um, but I think that there is something about life and about our desire to share our emotions and our experiences with other human beings that is very special to us. So, for example, I heard I read this really beautiful paragraph, and it was saying that it was commenting on this AI generated black artist, and the article said, what happens if we now have black artists who are never going to stand up for the rights of black people in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is highlighting to us that art is a lot about communicating human experiences to each other. It's a way that we speak to one another. And that is something that by definition cannot be replaced by a machine because it is fundamentally about having the human experience and wanting to understand other people's human experiences more deeply. And that one we can for sure hold on to.
Yes, definitely. And Dr. Maya, practical application and tools for skeptical tradition artists. What is the most gentle, low stakes way to start incorporating AI into their workflow without feeling like they are cheating?
The fear of cheating is reasonable, and I have a lot of respect for that. I think almost recounting a little bit from our earlier conversation, if you're a visual artist, I think going into Midjourney in particular, I really like Midjourney for visuals, to experiment with different concepts. And real artists can be very critical of these systems. So without expecting the system to be perfect or brilliant, how can you get in there and experiment and ask to iterate on an image in a way that might perhaps help inspire you? That's one direction. If you're a musician, Lyric Studio and Melody Studio are very gentle AI in that you're the creator and it's a support. And it's very, very obvious with my tools because I believe in supporting the person. So the tools are very much focused on your own writing and only supporting you when you need the help and no more than that. That's important. I love ChatGPT as well, but you really have to make sure that you're in control and don't trust it too much. But it's okay. You can still find it very useful if you write anything, any kind of creative writing, or even any kind of writing. Asking it for feedback, asking it to edit in different styles can be very, very interesting. But again, make sure that you make every single final decision is yours in the creative process.
Yes, definitely. It's yours. You're the one who will edit, not the computer itself, or not the AI itself. And Dr. Maya, we often hear about AI for visual arts and writing. What are the some surprising or less discussed creative fields where AI is making a significant impact, like fashion, culinary arts, or architecture?
Oh, these are all fascinating. One of the most surprising applications is actually 3D printing. I had a
Mm-hmm.
student utilize a system, an AI system, for designing 3D objects, original, beautiful 3D online sculptures, which he then printed. And that was very surprising for me. I learned a lot from watching his process and his experience. What's really powerful about this technology, about generative AI, is that it can really be applied to literally any creative process and creative product. And our challenge, the challenge of our times, is to stop thinking in terms of replacing humans. I think that's a dead end for us. I think that's ultimately going to cause a lot more harm than good. And to shift our focus into creating systems that are deeply collaborative with us and that know how to elevate human capabilities in a lasting way. That is a really untapped opportunity in virtually any creative space.
Yes, definitely. And Dr. Maya, what does the conversation with AI tool like when trying to refine a raw AI generated idea into a polished personal piece of work?
I think the most important thing is to have your high standards. So when I interact with I always try to see how far I can push ideas. Excuse me. And sometimes it's about taking the time to edit things myself, taking the time to think by myself. And that's really key, right? It's about not trusting the AI so much. But sometimes it's about telling the AI, "Mm, sometimes I would try to write poems with AI. My book is full of poetry made with AI. I use my own system, Lyric Studio, and I use ChatGPT. And I would spend easily 3 hours on one poem because I feel like this one line is not quite right. Maybe we could do the structure better. And so I would go back and forth many, many times. I would say, give me three more options for line number four. Give me four more options that end with the word apple. Um, why don't we try a different configuration? Then I go off to the side and I write on my own. It's this extremely iterative, many, many iterations where I'm deeply, deeply engaged. I'm giving 100% of my own mental power. I'm trying as hard as I can to make this poem good. And I am asking the AI to do the same. I keep pushing it to the limits until it feels just right to me. I stop when my own inner poet is happy, not when the AI thinks that it's good enough.
Yes, definitely. And Dr. Maya, what are your short term and long term goals right now?
Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. My biggest, let's say, long term goal, my biggest long term goal is to
Hmm.
help our industry and the people who use AI, the people who make AI and the people who use AI, to recognize the powerful opportunity of elevating human capabilities. Let me give you an example.
Got
So,
it.
when we look at text to image models, we often say, wow, you type a sentence and right away you get this art. Then you type another sentence and you get more art. It's so much smarter than us. It's so much more creative. But that's not true. Under a certain altered state of consciousness, the human mind can generate images faster and more detailed, more amazing than the text to image models. I'm not
Hmm.
saying we should always be in these altered states by any stretch, but our brain has that ability. And so I think what I want the world to understand, what I want AI builders and users to understand, is that the AI is not smarter than you. It's not more creative. And humans have only reached less than 10% of their creative ability. And so we need AI to be a catalyst to push human creativity further, not something that comes and pushes us out.
Hmm.
Not just because it's not nice to push people out, but because humans have so much more to give if we think about AI in this way. So that's my long term goal. And my short term goal is I'm working on another book.
Looking forward for that. And what's the title of the book, Miss Doctor?
One more time.
What will be the title of your upcoming book?
Oh, it's not titled yet, but it goes deeper into questions around AI and how to navigate this cultural moment. It's a very unique perspective, I believe.
Dr. Maya, good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success.
Thank you
And
so much.
as a pioneer, CEO, and professor, what are your short or what would be your advice for those people out there want to be like you?
I would say this is such a powerful moment to get involved. More than anything else, you need to trust your intuition at this point. You need to trust that you can find your path in this new world because we're going to have new jobs, new opportunities. We're going to have some people rise very, very fast because this is a moment of massive cultural change. So believe in yourself. The answers are not out there, the answers are inside of yourself in order to figure out how you fit into this hopefully wonderful new world that we're creating.
wonderfully world that we are creating. Yes, how love that word, Dr. Maya, and thank you for that advice for everyone or for everybody. And tell us, how will AI change how we teach and mentor the next generation of creatives? What skills become more and less important?
I think I think we need to maintain a belief in ourselves. It's not exactly a skill, but confidence and trust in your own abilities has never been more important. The confidence to come up to AI, to play with it without feeling that you're cheating, getting overcoming that fear. And ultimately, the fundamental human ability to create new things, to envision new worlds, to come up with new musical genres, to come up with new ideas for books, to come up with new businesses. This kind of high level ideation remains essential. But I also think, I really honestly think that we should keep learning to play piano, and we should keep learning how to write by ourselves, and we should keep studying math, just like we keep studying math even though we have calculators. Those basic skills, being able to do smaller tasks by yourself, helps you ultimately to be able to craft the bigger vision as well. So I believe we need to be continuing to refine skills without AI so that we build the basic mental abilities and learning how to work with AI. And together you can be the person who opens up new worlds and move fields forward in a way that AI by itself could never do.
Interesting, Dr. Maya. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101 are in fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101 are in second season, and my baby podcast, Law 101, Mental Health 101, and Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Dr. Maya, finally, looking ahead, what is your vision for the ultimate symbolic or symbiotic relationship between human intuition and machine intelligence in the creative fields?
In a way, AI gives us another way to expand our consciousness. And
Hmm.
in that way, it is very, very powerful. I think that the most successful artists who are using AI today, the most successful professionals, are those who use it to expand their own consciousness, to expand their own capabilities with their feet firmly on the ground, firmly believing in the power of their own intuition and their own intellect. And that kind of relationships with human and AI are happening today. And these kind of relationships are going to become more common. Instead of looking at AI as a god, as an all-knowing oracle like science fiction teaches us. The truth is that the role of AI is to expand the human mind further. And the more we lean into this perspective, the more powerful AI is going to be in our world, but also the more successful its integration into society is going to become.
Very well said, Dr. Maya. Very well said indeed. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your projects, or anything you want to promote on Abstract Essay?
I mean, probably the best way to learn more about my ideas and where I feel we can take the world forward in a way that's going to work for all of us would be through my book, where I put in the time to put in all of these ideas together in a fun and interesting way for you. Creative Machines, AI, Art, and Us, available on Amazon. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn under Maya Ackerman.
Yes, definitely. Yes, people are support. Dr. Maya Ackerman, because if you support her for sure, more and more empowering books like this to come, more and more empowering AI advocacy to rise. So, Dr. Maya, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor.
More to come, people. See you soon.